Today we're talking about the Marine Corps' AAV. This video shout out goes to Sergeant Moss, also known as Philip the Dental Plan Moss. He was a crew member in an AAV and he helped me write this. I've said it once and I'll say it again, the Marines are terrifying because when they show up in legitimate transformers. That's not the right kind. Talking about stuff like this. My electrician dad joke fell on its face. Shocking. Anyways, that's an Osprey. It's a helicopter that transforms into a plane in mid-flight. But today we're talking about these, the AAV. It stands for Amphibious Assault Vehicle. It's basically a boat tank. AAVs all started in World War II when they had Higgins boats back in the day. Remember those from Saving Private Ryan? They worked great in the European theater, but when it came time to fight in the Pacific with the Marines, a lot of the Japanese island had large coral reefs that the Higgins boats would get hung up on, so they wouldn't be able to make it to shore. So they designed the predecessor to the AAV. So how this works is a Navy ship has a bunch of AAVs on board, kind of like this. When they get 2 to 5 miles off the coastline, they just open the hatch door and the AAVs kind of yeet themselves overboard. Looks kind of like this. It's called a splash off. After the splash off, they motorboat up to the beach. It looks just like this. Then when they get to the beach, they just roll out and ta-da, you got a fucking tank. I mean, it's not technically a tank, but it is a 28-ton up-armored vehicle on tracks. It doesn't have a main cannon like a tank, but it does have an M250 cal and a Mark 19, which we establish is a machine gun that shoots fucking grenades, so I'm gonna go ahead and call it a tank. It's also got a 903 cubic inch Cummins turbo diesel engine that allows it to go 45 miles an hour, or at least that's what the brochure says. According to Sergeant Moss, he's personally had him up over 50, but, and I quote, it felt like my kidneys were about to get rattled out of my asshole. End quote. Some military grade shit. Now, the main purpose of the AAV is to... Purpose, not porpoise. God damn it, hold on. The main purpose of this vehicle is to transport troops. You have a 4-man crew to operate it, and then it can carry an additional 21 grunts that are fully loaded for combat. This crew is like the J.G. Wentworth of grunts. The J.G. Gruntsworth, if you will. You know, call J.G. Gruntsworth 877 grunts now. Okay, here's the point of this that I'm trying to get through to you. They were mad that we used a shotgun because it shot a bunch of ball bearings everywhere. The Navy is gonna pull up in a giant boat and shoot a fucking tank of armored grunts at you. And I'm going to tell you right now, it scared the holy hell out of the bad guys in the Pacific in World War II. Because they were expecting Higgins boats to get hung up on the coral reefs. But what they got instead was the LTV, which is a predecessor to the AAV, also known as the amphibian tractor. During the Battle of Tarawa, the coral reefs I mentioned earlier were a particularly hard obstacle. Thought to be almost impenetrable by most. But the Marine Corps and penetration go together like communism and not food. So needless to say, the Marines hopped in their salamander tractors and made it over the reefs. The only surviving enemy officer, Kiyoshi Ota, recalled it as this. We could see the American landing crafts coming towards us like dozens of spiders gliding over the water. When one of my men exclaimed, "The gods of death have come." In conclusion, if you ever see J.G. Gruntsworth coming at you in his salamander tractor, you should probably run because you're about to get hit with a gruntmentation grenade. Today we're talking about the most versatile helicopter in the military. This episode is brought to you by Shinesty's Sactical Underwear. Everybody should experience Valhalla at least once. Ladies and gentlemen, we're talking about the Chinook. Like most United States military helicopters, the Chinook is named after a Native American tribe. Invented in 1962 and mass-produced by Boeing, the Chinook is capable of carrying up to 26,000 pounds. And with 2 jet engines coming in at 2,200 horsepower apiece, it's capable of traveling up to 188 miles an hour. And if you don't know, compared to other helicopters, that makes the Chinook strong as shit and fast as fuck. This thing is basically a cargo plane with no wings and 2 whirligigs on top. It's basically half cargo plane, half helicopter. It is hands down the most redneck thing I've ever seen the United States military do. I mean, let's just face it, the Chinook is basically an airborne El Camino. It's just a hot rod with cargo space. I mean, it's even got a tailgate, come on. I cannot stress to you enough how versatile this aircraft is. They use it for hauling cargo, they do some fancy extraction stuff where there's the little gruntleberries hanging off the bottom, and my personal favorite, they use it for troop transport. I'm trying to tell you, they fill this thing full of grunts and fly it into a battlefield. They don't even land, they just drop the hatch door and all the grunts run out without the wheels even touching the ground. And this plane is so damn big, you can fit 45 grunts on this thing. It's like the magic school bus of death. I'm trying to tell you, if you're a bad guy and you see a Chinook, Uncle Sam just shot a meat missile full of grunts at you. As far as I can tell, the only limitations this Chinook actually has are based on the size of the nuts of the pilot and or ovaries. For example, how about the time a Pennsylvania National Guardsman landed just the hatch door on the roof of a building? If you get a good pilot, the possibilities with this vehicle are endless. Not to mention, super fun. For about $50 at the fair, you can go for a helicopter ride. But for a blank check to Uncle Sam, you could have Miss Frizzle over here touch down the Ariel El Camino and pick up you and 44 of your other favorite grunts. The only thing you're gonna hear is the double whirligigs going woo 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 woo, and the song Fortunate Son playing in your head at max volume. All the while, this guy's driving you 188 miles an hour, bobbing and weaving through ridgelines. You're crammed in the back of this thing between two 19-year-olds that are running on caffeine and hate. And the crew chief's gonna yell 30 seconds out, you're all gonna stand up and face the hatch door. Next thing you know, that hatch door opens, the crew chief says go, and you all sprint out. Ready to let the world know the score is 1776-0, and it's not changing anytime soon. In conclusion, if you ever see a Chinook headed your way and you're a bad guy, you should run, because there's probably 45 grunts in that thing that are about to shove their foot so far up your ass. The next time you fart, all you're gonna hear is Thank you for watching. Today we're talking about machine gunners, and it's a lot, so pay attention. If you're in the Marine Corps, it's known as an 0331, and the Army doesn't have a special code for machine gunner, it's just an 11 Bravo infantryman that got voluntold to carry the big gun. Now, the role of the machine gunner is rapidly changing, with the Marine Corps transitioning to the M27 assault rifle, which is a fully automatic 30-round rifle, with the idea of being lighter and faster in mind. The Army, on the other hand, is considering doubling down on the traditional 249 by adding a literal backpack of bullets that feeds directly into the side of the gun, and it is apparently held together with duct tape. But today we're just talking about the traditional M249 SAW gunner. If you don't know, SAW stands for Squad Automatic Firing Weapon, and it has a cyclic firing rate of 850 rounds per minute. It is belt-fed with 200-round belts that are held in this little canvas baggie off the bottom, affectionately known as the nutsack. And it is the highest casualty-producing gun in the United States military, which is partially due to the fact that it's a machine gun, but more so to do with the man behind it. You have to understand, nobody actually wants this job. While it might sound cool and romantic to be the machine gunner, and machine guns are fun to shoot, it is not fun to have to carry a machine gun up a fucking mountain. You have to realize the machine gun alone is almost 20 pounds. Then you have to carry a combat loadout of at least another 600 rounds of ammunition, adding another 20 pounds. We're talking 40 pounds of cordless hole punching technology alone, not including any food and water he has to carry on top of that. So put yourself in his shoes. You've been walking around carrying this heavy-ass gun for what seems like forever, and somebody finally picks a fight with you. Not only are you going to try to justify the fact that you've been carrying this enormous gun, you also have the underlying motivation of knowing that every single round you throw towards the enemy is one less round that you have to carry on your back to camp. I'm trying to tell you, this guy's motivated to hold that trigger down a little bit longer than he's supposed to. And when this guy gets called for holding, you are not getting 5 yards and a first down. You're probably going to get put in the ground. And that's on a good day. If you want to see a bad day, try firing at Doc. You see, Doc and the machine gunner have a special relationship because the machine gunner knows that if there's an ambush and somebody's going to get shot first, they're probably going to be aiming at him. Because, well, if you were a bad guy and you were going to ambush a bunch of grunts, wouldn't you want to take out the one with the big gun first? Makes sense, right? Which sucks for Doc, because if the machine gunner's down, that means there's no suppressing fire on the enemy, which is going to increase Doc's odds of getting shot when he goes to rescue the machine gunner. And Doc is willing to take that risk without question, which is why the machine gunner is extra protective of Doc. If you shoot at Doc in front of the machine gunner, you're going to have the longest, shortest day of your life. Because that machine gunner is going to ordain you. I'm trying to tell you, he's going to make you holy. You're going to die from rapid onset lead poisoning almost immediately. Even on the off chance that you're smart enough to take cover, but somehow dumb enough to shoot at Doc, you're still going to die. It's called the SAW, remember? He's going to try to cut through whatever you're hiding behind with bullets. And even if he can't, you're going to get flanked. So in conclusion, do not take out the officer, don't even look at Doc funny, and never give a machine gunner an excuse to do his job. Machine Gunners, Part 2. In Part 1, we talked about the M249 SAW. Today, we're talking about the M240. If you served in the mid-1900s and you don't know what the M240 is, it is what replaced the M60, aka the Pig. While it may not have the nickname the Pig, it's actually heavier, weighing in at 27 pounds. It has a cyclic firing rate of 650 rounds per minute, with a maximum range of approximately 3,700 meters and an effective range of up to 1,600 meters. I have absolutely no idea how far that is, so let's figure it out. Alright, so we're looking at like 4,000-ish yards, so we're talking like 40 football fields. We're talking real football, the kind you play with your hands. And don't try to tell me soccer's better. You were given opposable thumbs for a reason. F and act like it. Sorry, in order to make money on these videos, I'm not allowed to say fuck. Shit. We'll try harder next week. Anyways, back to the 240. The 240 is highly versatile. It can be attached to almost any military vehicle available, including boats and helicopters. But today we're talking about the psychopaths, grunts that just carry this thing around. You see, the big difference between the SAW and the 240 is that the SAW shoots a 5.56 and the 240 shoots a 7.62. A bigger bullet means a bigger hole, and a bigger hole means less bad guy. That's just science. But being able to shoot the big Freedom Acorns comes at a cost, mainly weight. That's why, unlike the SAW gunner, the 240 gunner has what is known as an AG, an assistant gunner. The assistant gunner helps share the load by carrying some of the bullets as well as the tripod and the spare barrels. Yes, I said spare barrels. They will literally throw so much lead at you that they will overheat the barrels to the point that they will warp and fold over. So they will rotate the barrels out during the middle of a firefight, and sometimes use them to light their cigarettes. Now, while the AG is also a qualified machine gunner, he helps during the firefight by assisting with reloading and spotting for the machine gunner. Yeah, spotting. You notice that this picture looks an awful lot like this picture of snipers, aka Bill Nye the Science Grunt. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm trying to tell you the 240 gunners are just volume snipers. But unlike a sniper who's just going to put one round center mass, this guy's going to put a lot of rounds to the everywhere. It's like a sniper from Costco. You're going to get ventilated in bulk. You're going to be aerodynamic as fuck. You're going to be holier than the Pope. Your death certificate's going to say bullet bukkake. I might have found the line on that one. You can't be offended by that unless you know what it means, and if you know what it means, you're just as corrupt as I am. Moving on. There's absolutely no denying that being a machine gunner sucks 99% of the time. That's why the machine gunner's always in a bad mood. This man is literally fueled by nicotine, caffeine, and hate. But when that firefight finally comes around, this guy's Beetlejuice and it's fucking showtime. That is unless you somehow put him in a bad mood in the firefight, which we all know there's only one way to do that, and it's by shooting at Doc. And if that happens, you're absolutely done. There's nothing you can hide behind on the planet. Whatever you're hiding behind, there is a certain amount of 7.62 rounds that will penetrate it eventually. This guy's gonna turn into the Tootsie Pop owl and find out how many licks it takes. In conclusion, never give a 240 gunner a reason to do his job, or he's gonna find out how many 7.62 rounds it takes to get to the Tootsie Roll center of you.